Temmin was cleaning one of Arya's ceremonial weapons when Lady Nari entered the room. He had seen her before, always standing near the Emperor during court sessions. She was older than most of the other nobles, her gray skin marked with faint lines that suggested age. Her eyes were sharp and calculating. "You are the human," she said without greeting. "I am," Temmin replied, not looking up from his work, the one who survived the arena through cleverness rather than strength. "That's one way to describe it." Lady Nari walked closer. She picked up one of the weapons and examined it. "I have been Princess Arya's mentor since she was a child. I taught her strategy, politics, and the art of reading people. She has always been intelligent, but lately she has been asking questions she never asked before." Temmin continued polishing the weapon in his hands. "Questions are good, are they? In the Veltheran Empire, questions can be dangerous, especially questions about the nature of the Empire itself." Lady Nari set down the weapon and looked directly at Temmin. "You are the reason for these questions. Am I in trouble?" "That depends. What are your intentions regarding Princess Arya?" Temmin finally looked up. "I want to survive, and I want to help her understand that there are other ways to live besides conquest and domination. That's all. That's all." Lady Nari laughed quietly. "Do you understand what you are doing? You are not just changing one person's mind. You are planting seeds that could destroy an empire. Would that be so bad?" The room went silent. Temmin had just said something that could get him executed for treason. But Lady Nari didn't call for guards. Instead, she sat down on one of the cushions. "I am old," she said. "I have lived through 300 years of conquest. I have seen 1,000 worlds burn. I have advised emperors and trained warriors. And I am tired. Tired of what? Tired of endless war. Tired of crushing rebellions. Tired of watching young soldiers die for a cause that I no longer believe in." She looked at Temmin with something like sadness in her glowing eyes. "I too have read the Forbidden Archives. I know what we once were, and I know what we have become." Temmin set down the weapon. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because Arya trusts you, and I trust Arya. If there is any hope of changing this empire, it will come from her. But she cannot do it alone. She will need allies, powerful ones. And she will need someone who can show her a different path, someone from a species that chose cooperation over conquest. You want me to continue influencing her. I want you to help her become what she could be, a leader who rules through wisdom rather than fear." Lady Nari stood up. "I will help you both. But you must be careful. Not everyone in the palace is sympathetic. Prince Deho, in particular, sees his sister as a rival. He will try to destroy her if he senses weakness. What about the Emperor? Emperor Vorn is complicated. He believes in the Empire's strength, but he is not a fool. He sees that the endless conquests are draining our resources. He sees that rebellions are becoming more frequent. He will not admit it publicly, but privately I think he knows the Empire cannot continue as it is." After Lady Nari left, Temmin sat alone for a long time. He was in deeper than he had ever intended. When his ship was captured, he thought he would either die quickly or become a slave. He never imagined he would be at the center of a potential revolution. That night, Arya summoned him to her chambers. When he arrived, he found her with several data tablets spread around her. "I have been researching your species," she said without looking up. "There are some records in our databases, not many. Humans have been very good at staying hidden from galactic civilization." "That was intentional," Temmin said. "Earth decided a long time ago to be cautious about first contact. We watched the galaxy for years before establishing any colonies. We wanted to understand what was out there before we committed ourselves. Smart. Most species rush into space without understanding the dangers." Arya picked up one of the tablets. "But you are not hidden anymore. My father's fleet has been tracking human colony ships. They know where your colonies are. They know where Earth is." Temmin felt his heart stop. "What? The Empire is planning an invasion? Within the year, they will send fleets to conquer human space. That is why my father allowed me to keep you. He wants to study humans before the invasion begins, to understand your weaknesses. How many people know about this? Only the highest military commanders. And now you." Arya looked at him seriously. "I am telling you this because you deserve to know, and because I need your help." "My help with what?" "Stopping it." Temmin sat down heavily. His mind was racing. Earth had no idea this was coming. The human colonies were scattered and poorly defended. If the Veltheran Empire attacked, humanity would be crushed. "Why would you help stop an invasion of my people?" he asked. Because it is wrong. Because conquest is wrong. Because everything I have learned from you has shown me that the Empire's way is built on lies and fear. Arya set down the tablet. But more than that, because I have calculated the outcome of such an invasion. Humans will not surrender easily. You will fight with everything you have. The casualties on both sides will be enormous, and even if the Empire wins, it will spark rebellions across hundreds of other worlds who will see humanity's resistance as inspiration. So you want to stop the invasion to protect the Empire. I want to stop the invasion to protect everyone, humans, Veltharans, all. The species caught in the middle. She paused. But I cannot do this alone. I need allies. People who believe in change. And I need information about human military capabilities so we can present alternatives to invasion. What kind of alternatives? Negotiation, alliance, cooperation? Arya smiled slightly. All those concepts you have been teaching me. Over the next few weeks, something unexpected happened. More Veltharans began approaching Taman in secret. They were members of the nobility, military officers, even some servants. All of them whispered the same thing. They were tired of endless war. They wanted change. Lady Nari had been spreading the word, carefully recruiting those she knew could be trusted. A secret coalition was forming. Taman met with these Veltharans late at night, always in different locations to avoid suspicion. He told them about human culture, about democracy and individual rights. He showed them that strength could come from cooperation instead of domination. Many of them were skeptical at first, but the more they learned, the more they questioned the Empire's foundations. But not everyone was sympathetic. Prince Deho had noticed his sister's changing behavior. He began having Arya followed. He planted spies among the palace servants, and slowly he began to piece together what was happening. One night Taman was meeting with Jiwan, Minho, and Hyejin in the servant quarters when Minho suddenly went pale. "What's wrong?" Taman asked. "I was accessing the palace computers to gather more information. Someone has been tracking our movements. They know about our meetings. They know about the coalition." "Deho," Jiwan said immediately. "Has to be. He's been watching Arya for weeks. If he knows, why hasn't he reported us?" Hyejin asked. Taman understood immediately. "Because he's waiting. He wants to gather enough evidence to implicate Arya directly. If he can prove she's leading a conspiracy against the Empire, he can have her executed and remove his rival for the throne. We need to warn Arya," Minho said. "No," Taman replied. "That would tip off Deho that we know. We need to be smarter than that." They spent the rest of the night planning. If Deho was building a case against them, they needed to stay one step ahead. They needed to accelerate their plans. The next day, Arya called a meeting with Lady Nari and several trusted allies. Taman was included. They met in a secure room deep within the palace, protected by technology that prevented surveillance. "We cannot wait any longer," Arya said. "My brother knows something is happening. He is watching us. We need to act." "Act how?" one of the military officers asked. "We cannot stage a rebellion. We do not have the numbers." "We do not need a rebellion," Lady Nari said. "We need proof. Proof that the Empire's current path is unsustainable. Proof that cooperation is stronger than conquest." "How do we prove that?" another noble asked. Taman spoke up. "Let me contact Earth. Let me open a communication channel. I can arrange a meeting between Arya and Earth's leaders. If they can negotiate an alliance instead of going to war, it will prove that your Empire can choose diplomacy over violence." "The Emperor will never allow it," someone said. "The Emperor does not need to know until it is done," Arya replied. "If we can present him with a successful alliance, he may see the value in changing the Empire's approach. Or he may execute us all for treason," the military officer pointed out. "Yes," Arya agreed. "That is the risk. But the alternative is watching humanity be destroyed, and the Empire continue its cycle of conquest and rebellion until it eventually collapses. I would rather die trying to change things than live watching everything burn." The room was silent. Finally, Lady Nari spoke. "I support this plan. I will commit my resources and my reputation to it." One by one, the others agreed. They knew it was dangerous. They knew the risks. But they also knew that Arya was right. The Empire could not continue as it was. After the meeting, Taman found himself alone with Arya on one of the palace balconies. The sun was setting over Nethara, painting the metallic clouds in shades of purple and red. Mirai did not sleep that night. She sat in the small laboratory aboard the Horizon's Promise, surrounded by screens filled with data. Her eyes burned from staring at the displays, but she could not stop. The mystery of Valera had caught in her mind like a hook. The xenobiology database was vast. Thousands of species had been catalogued since humans first left Earth and met other intelligent life. Some were friendly, some were neutral, some were hostile, and some were extinct. It was in the extinct category that Mirai found the first clue. The entry was old, written 70 years ago by a Krellian researcher. The Krellians were an insect-like species known for their careful record-keeping. The entry was labeled simply, Velathy status presumed extinct. Mirai's hands trembled as she opened the file. The Velathy had been an ancient race, older than most civilizations in the known galaxy. They were humanoid in appearance, which was unusual. Most intelligent life did not look like humans, but the Velathy could have walked through a human city and been mistaken for people, except for three things: their pale, luminescent skin, their blood-red eyes, and their need to feed. Mirai read the words slowly, feeling her stomach tighten. The Velathy were parasites. They survived by drinking the life essence of other beings. Not blood exactly, though blood was part of it. They consumed something deeper, something the report called vital energy. A Velathy could drain a person completely in minutes, leaving behind only a dried husk. But that was not the worst part. The Velathy had the ability to form something called a life bond with individuals. They would drink a small amount of blood from a person, and that person would drink a small amount of Velathy blood in return. This created a permanent psychic connection between them. The bonded individual would feel the Velathy's emotions and thoughts, and the Velathy would feel theirs. In ancient times, the Velathy had used these bonds to control entire populations. They would bond with leaders, with warriors, with anyone who had power, and through these bonds they ruled worlds. The other species of the galaxy had finally united against them. It was called the Cleansing War, and it had lasted 30 years. By the end, the Velathy were gone. Their worlds were burned. Their ships were destroyed. Every Velathy found was killed, or so everyone believed. Mirai sat back in her chair, her heart pounding. Valera was Velathy, there was no doubt now, which meant she was supposed to be dead, killed centuries ago along with the rest of her kind. She heard footsteps behind her and turned. Deho stood in the doorway holding 2 cups of coffee. He looked as tired as she felt. "You found something," he said. It was not a question, Mirai nodded. She turned her screen so he could see. The Velathy. They were called blood drinkers. They controlled other species through psychic bonds. The galaxy went to war to stop them. Deho set down the coffee and leaned closer to read. His expression grew darker with each line. They were exterminated. Supposed to be, Mirai said. But Valera is here. She's real, which means either some survived or the records are wrong. Tell me about these bonds, Deho said. Mirai pulled up another file. This one had diagrams showing how the bond worked. It's permanent. Once formed, it cannot be broken by normal means. The two beings are connected for life. They feel each other's pain, each other's emotions. If one dies, the other experiences terrible agony. And if one of them breaks the bond somehow? Deho asked. Mirai searched through the files. She found a small notation at the bottom of one report. Her blood went cold as she read it. It says here that if a bond is broken by betrayal, the effect is worse. The abandoned Velathy experiences constant pain, both physical and mental. It drives them insane slowly. The only way to stop the pain is to restore the bond or to kill the one who broke it. Deho was quiet for a long moment. She said he hurt her, that he stole something from her. If he was bonded to her and then left, Mirai said quietly. She's been in pain for 20 years, every single day. Jiwan appeared in the doorway, still in her sleeping clothes, her hair messy. I couldn't sleep, she said. I keep thinking about her. About those eyes. She noticed the screens. What did you find? They told her everything. About the Velathy, about the war, about the bonds. Jiwan listened without speaking, her face growing pale. So she's hunting this Taman person because he bonded with her and then abandoned her. Jiwan said finally. That's why she's been searching for 20 years. It's worse than abandonment, Mirai said. She pulled up another file, this one showing genetic information. According to this, the Velathy were empaths. They felt emotions more strongly than most species. A bond would have been everything to her. Love, friendship, family, all in one connection. And then he broke it. Deho stood and walked to the small window that looked out at the station. Kepler 442 rotated slowly in the darkness of space, its lights like stars. We need to find out more about Taman. If he did this, he needs to answer for it. But she's a Velati, Jiwon said. Her people enslaved entire worlds. Maybe he escaped for good reason. Maybe, Deho agreed. Or maybe he's just a bastard who used her and left. Either way, we need the truth. Mirai pulled up the ship's communication logs and ran a search for the name Taman. For a long time, nothing appeared. Then finally, a single hit. It was a personnel record from 15 years ago, a human exploration vessel called the Far Horizon. I found him, Mirai said. The others crowded around her screen. Taman. He was a junior explorer on a deep space mission. The ship's log says they encountered an uncharted planet in the outer rim and lost contact for 3 months. When they reappeared, 2 crew members were missing and the rest wouldn't talk about what happened. Was Taman one of the missing? Jiwon asked. No, Mirai said, scanning the report. He came back. But there's a notation here in his medical file. The ship's doctor noted strange scars on his wrist and neck, consistent with bite marks. Taman refused to explain them. Deho leaned closer. Where is he now? Mirai searched through the personnel database. It took several minutes, but she found a current location. He left the exploration service 8 years ago. Now he's listed as the CEO of a technology company called Stellar Innovations. They're based on the colony world of New Busan. What kind of technology? Deho asked. Mirai dug deeper. Her expression changed as she read. Alien technology. The company specializes in recovering and selling alien artifacts. They've made a fortune from it. The 3 of them looked at each other. The same thought passed between them without words. He stole from her, Jiwon said quietly. He bonded with her, stole her people's artifacts, and then left her in pain. Deho felt anger rising in his chest. As a captain, he had seen many kinds of betrayal in his years in space. But this felt particularly cruel. To forge such an intimate connection with someone, and then use it for profit. What do we do? Mirai asked. Deho thought for a moment. Every instinct told him to stay out of this. It was not his problem. Valera was dangerous, and getting involved with her hunt could bring nothing but trouble. But he thought about the pain in her voice when she said the word, hurt. He thought about 20 years of searching, 20 years of agony, all because one human had decided to treat another being as a tool. We tell her, he said finally. We tell Valera where to find Taman. He made this mess. He can face the consequences. She might kill him, Jiwon warned. She might, Deho agreed. But if he did what I think he did, maybe he deserves it. Mirai looked uncertain. Should we warn him first? Give him a chance to explain? He's had 20 years to feel guilty, Deho said. 20 years to make amends. If he cared, he would have tried. No, we find Valera and tell her what we learned. After that, it's between them. They spent the rest of the night preparing. Deho wrote a careful message with all the information they had found. Mirai copied the relevant files onto a data chip. Jiwon checked their weapons just in case. As the station's day cycle began, Deho left the ship alone. He walked through the marketplace, searching the crowds for a woman with pale skin and red eyes. He found her in the same place as before, standing still while the world moved around her. When she saw him approaching, something flickered in her expression. Hope, perhaps, or fear. Deho stopped in front of her and held out the data chip. We found him, he said simply. Taman. We know where he is. Valera stared at the chip like it was the most precious thing in the universe. Her hand shook as she reached for it. You are certain? Yes, Deho said. And Valera, we know what you are. We know about the Velathi. We know about the bonds. Her eyes widened. For a moment she looked truly afraid. Then her expression hardened. Then you know I am a monster. I know you were hurt, Deho said. That's enough for now. The information is on that chip. What you do with it is your choice. Valera took the chip. She held it against her chest. And Deho could have sworn he saw tears forming in those red eyes. Why help me? Your kind knows what mine did. We were tyrants. Maybe, Deho said. But Taman is human, and what he did was wrong. He should answer for it. Valera looked at him for a long moment, and Deho felt like she was seeing through to his soul. Finally, she nodded. Then I will go to him, and the galaxy will know justice. She turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Deho watched her go, wondering if he had just helped bring about a murder or if he had done the right thing. 3 days passed. Deho tried to put Valera out of his mind and focus on his duties. The Horizon's Promise needed repairs and his crew needed rest. They were scheduled to leave Kepler 442 within the week, heading toward the inner colonies where their cargo was needed. But the guilt would not leave him alone. Every night he wondered if he had condemned a man to death. Every morning he told himself that Taman deserved whatever came to him. On the 4th day, everything changed. Deho was in his quarters, reviewing supply manifests, when the ship's alarm began to blare. He ran to the bridge where Jiwan was already at her station, her hands moving rapidly across the controls. "What's happening?" Deho demanded. "We've got a ship approaching," Jiwan said. Her voice was tight with tension. "Small, fast, and it's not responding to hails. It's matching our orbit." "Weapons?" Deho asked. "Scanning," Jiwan said. She paused and her expression changed. "No weapons detected. But boss, this ship is old. I mean really old. The design doesn't match anything in our database." Mireille rushed onto the bridge, still pulling on her jacket. "What's going on?" Before anyone could answer, the communication console lit up. A voice came through, soft and clear. "Captain Deho, I request permission to board your vessel. I come alone and unarmed." It was Valera. Deho and Jiwan exchanged glances. Mireille went pale. "How did she find us?" she whispered. Deho activated the communication. "Valera, why are you here?" "Because I need your help," she said. "The information you gave me was valuable, but I cannot complete my hunt alone. Taman is protected, surrounded by security and wealth. I need allies who understand humans. I need you." "We're not mercenaries," Deho said firmly. "I am not asking you to fight," Valera replied. "I'm asking you to help me reach him, to speak with him. After that, what happens is between him and me." Jiwan shook her head violently, making gestures for Deho to refuse. Mirai looked torn, her scientific curiosity warring with her fear. Deho thought about Taman living in comfort and wealth built on betrayal. He thought about Valera searching for 20 years in constant pain. He thought about justice and what it really meant. "You can board," he said finally, "but we talk first. If I don't like what I hear, you leave." There was a pause. "Agreed." 10 minutes later, Valera stood in their airlock. She wore simple dark clothes now, not the elaborate robes from the station. She carried nothing, just as she had promised. But she still radiated danger like heat from a fire. Deho met her in the small meeting room. Jiwan and Mirai stood behind him, ready to act if needed. Valera sat across the table, her red eyes studying each of them carefully. "Tell me everything," Deho said. "No lies, no secrets. If you want our help, I need to know the truth." Valera was silent for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than before, almost human. "My people were monsters. The records you found are true. The Valathi controlled other species through bonds, and we felt no guilt for it. We believed we were superior, that other life existed to serve us. So the war against you was justified," Jiwan said coldly. "Yes," Valera agreed. "It was. We deserved what came to us. But I was young when the war ended. Only a child. My family fled to a hidden world in the Outer Rim, far from the fighting. We lived there in secret, the last survivors of our kind." She paused, and something like pain crossed her face. "I grew up alone. My parents died of old age. My siblings were killed by scavengers who discovered our world. For years I was the only Velathi left in the galaxy. I lived in the ruins of our civilization, surrounded by the ghosts of my people's crimes." Mirai leaned forward despite herself. "You were alone? For how long?" 30 years, Valera said. 30 years without speaking to another intelligent being. 30 years of silence and regret. Deho felt a small stirring of sympathy, but he pushed it down. Then Taman arrived. "Yes," Valera said. "His ship crashed on my world. He was badly injured, dying. I could have left him, but I did not. I saved his life. I brought him to my home and healed him. And you bonded with him," Deho said. Valera nodded slowly. "He was the first person I had spoken to in decades. He was curious, kind, interested in my culture. He asked to learn about the Valathi, and I taught him. I showed him our history, our art, our science. I thought I had found a friend." Her hands clenched on the table. "After 3 months, I offered him the bond. It is our way of showing trust, of creating family." He agreed. "We shared blood, and for the first time in my life, I felt connected to someone. I was not alone anymore. But he left, Mirai said quietly. He left? Valera agreed. One day I woke up and he was gone. His ship was repaired and launched. He took with him artifacts from my family's collection, including the memory crystal that held our entire history, and he severed the bond. How did he break it? Deho asked. The record said it was permanent. There are ways, Valera said. Her voice was hollow now, empty. Painful ways. Dangerous ways. He used old Velothi technology, a device my family kept locked away because of how cruel it was. He broke the bond from his side, leaving me with a wound that would never heal. She looked up and her red eyes were wet with tears. Every day since then I have felt the echo of that bond. It is like having a limb torn off, but the pain never stops, never fades. I cannot sleep without nightmares. I cannot rest without feeling his absence. He has haunted me for 20 years, and the only way to end it is to confront him. The room was silent. Even Jiwon looked disturbed now, her anger replaced by something more complicated. What will you do when you find him? Deho asked. I do not know, Valera admitted. Part of me wants revenge. Part of me simply wants answers. Why did he do this? Was I just a tool to him? Did any of it mean anything? She looked at Deho directly. I want him to face what he did. I want him to feel even a fraction of the pain I have felt. Is that so wrong? Deho thought about it. Was it wrong? Taemin had used her, stolen from her, and left her in agony. But Valera was still Velothi, still one of the species that had enslaved worlds. Did her suffering erase that history? I'll help you reach him, Deho said finally. But only to talk. If you try to kill him, I'll stop you. Understood? Valera studied his face. You're a good man, Deho. Too good, perhaps, for this galaxy. Very well. I agree to your terms. Jiwon spoke up. How did you find our ship? Valera smiled slightly. I tasted your blood on the air when we first met. All Velothi can track individuals by their essence once we have encountered them. It is how we formed bonds, how we hunted. Your ship was not difficult to find. That's disturbing, Jiwon muttered. Yes, Valera agreed. My people were disturbing in many ways. Mirai had been quiet, but now she asked, why didn't you bond with anyone else? In 20 years you must have met others. I tried once, Valera said softly. 7 years after Taemin left. I met a kind alien on a trading world. Someone who showed me compassion. I thought perhaps a new bond would heal the old wound. She looked down at her hands, but the broken bond prevented it. Once severed, no new bond can form until the old one is resolved. Taemin's betrayal left me unable to connect with anyone ever again. The weight of that statement settled over the room. To be denied connection forever. To be truly alone for the rest of her life. Deho could not imagine it. Where is Taemin now? Valera asked. Deho pulled up a star chart on the display. New Busan. It's a wealthy colony world in the inner systems. He runs his company from there in the capital city. Getting to him won't be easy. He's a powerful man now with guards and security. Then we will need a plan, Valera said. They spent the next several hours working out the details. Valera's ship would follow the Horizon's promise to New Busan. They would pose as potential clients for Taemin's company, using their status as explorers to gain a meeting. Once inside, Valera would confront him. As they talked, Deho found himself watching Valera carefully. She was intelligent and precise in her planning. But more than that, he saw hints of the person she might have been before Taemin broke her. Someone curious, someone capable of kindness. It made what Taemin had done seem even worse. Late that night, as Valera prepared to return to her ship, she paused at the airlock. Captain Deho, she said, why are you helping me? You owe me nothing. In fact, by all logic, you should fear me. Deho considered his answer carefully. Because what happened to you was wrong. I don't care what your species did centuries ago. You personally saved Taemin's life, and he repaid you with betrayal. That's not right, and someone should stand with you against it. Valera looked at him for a long moment. You humans are strange. Your kind spreads across the galaxy, causing trouble wherever you go. You are violent, greedy, and unpredictable. But sometimes you are also capable of unexpected compassion. She nodded once. Thank you. She left, returning to her ancient ship. As Deho watched her vessel drift away from theirs, he wondered what they were getting into. Taemin would not give up his secrets easily, and when Valera finally faced him, the confrontation could go anywhere. But it was too late to turn back now. They were committed to this path. The Horizon's promise set course for New Busan, and in her wake, Valera's ship followed like a shadow. Together they were hunting the man who had hurt her, and soon Taemin would have to answer for what he had done. New Busan was beautiful in the way that rich places always were. The colony world orbited a yellow sun, and from space it looked like Earth must have looked before humans filled it with cities. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds drifting peacefully across the atmosphere. But Daeho knew better than to be fooled by appearances. New Busan was built on money, and money always came from somewhere. The colony's wealth came from being a hub for alien technology trade, legal and otherwise. It was the kind of place where questions were not asked as long as the credits kept flowing. The Horizon's promise docked at the orbital station above the capital city. Valera kept her ship hidden on the far side of a moon, away from curious sensors. The plan was simple. Daeho would contact Stellar Innovations and request a meeting as a potential client. Once inside Taemin's building, he would signal Valera, who would find her own way in. It was not a great plan, but it was what they had. Mirai had prepared fake credentials for them, making them look like wealthy explorers interested in purchasing alien artifacts. She had a talent for forgery that surprised Daeho, though he decided not to ask where she had learned it. The message to Stellar Innovations was sent that afternoon. The response came back within an hour. Mr. Taemin would be delighted to meet with them tomorrow at his corporate headquarters. The message was professional, polite, and completely empty of warmth. "He doesn't suspect anything," Jiwon said, reading the message over Daeho's shoulder. "Why would he?" Daeho replied. "He's successful, powerful, and it's been 20 years. He probably thinks he got away with it." That night, they took a shuttle down to the planet's surface. The capital city was called Hyjin, and it glowed like a jewel in the darkness. Towers of glass and steel reached toward the sky, connected by bridges and transit tubes. Flying vehicles moved through the air in organized streams, their lights creating rivers of color. Their hotel was expensive but necessary for maintaining their cover as wealthy clients. Daeho stood at the window of his room looking out at the city and tried to quiet the anxiety in his chest. Tomorrow they would face Taemin. Tomorrow everything would change, his communicator buzzed. It was Valera. "I have arrived on the surface," she said. "I can feel him now. He is close in a tall building at the center of the city." "That's his headquarters," Daeho said. "Can you feel anything else?" There was a pause. "Pain. Even now, even after 20 years, the broken bond aches when I am near him, but also something else. He is unwell, Captain. Something is wrong with him." Daeho frowned. "What do you mean?" "I am not certain. The bond is broken, so I cannot feel clearly, but there is a wrongness to his presence, like a discordant note in music." They spoke for a few more minutes, finalizing their plan, then disconnected. Daeho tried to sleep but found it impossible. Instead, he sat by the window and watched the city breathe. Morning came too quickly. Daeho, Jiwon, and Mirai dressed in formal clothes, playing the part of important clients. They took a taxi through the city streets to the Stellar Innovations building, a tower of black glass that rose 50 floors into the sky. The lobby was impressive in a cold, corporate way. Marble floors, expensive art on the walls, security guards in neat uniforms watching everyone who entered. Daeho gave their names to the receptionist, a young woman with a professional smile that did not reach her eyes. "Mr. Taemin is expecting you," she said. "Please take the executive elevator to the 48th floor." The elevator was made of glass, and as it rose, Daeho could see the entire city spreading out below them. For a moment, he felt dizzy, as if the ground was falling away forever. Then the elevator stopped, and the doors opened onto a luxurious office floor. A man was waiting for them. He was tall and handsome, wearing an expensive suit. His hair was dark and styled perfectly, and his smile was bright and practiced. But it was his eyes that caught Daeho's attention. They were strange, changing color in the light, shifting from brown to green to gray. "Welcome," the man said, extending his hand. "I am Taemin. Thank you for coming all this way." Daeho shook his hand and tried not to show his disgust. This was the man who had hurt Valera. This was the man they had come to confront. Up close, Taemin looked successful and confident, without a hint of guilt or shame. "Thank you for meeting with us," Daeho said, keeping his voice neutral. Taemin led them into his office, a massive space with windows overlooking the city. The walls were lined with display cases containing alien artifacts, strange crystals, ancient weapons, devices whose purpose Daeho could not guess. Each one was lit dramatically, turned into art. My collection, Taman said proudly. I have spent years gathering these pieces from across the galaxy. Each one has a story, a history. That is what I sell, you see. Not just objects, but connections to the ancient past. Mirai moved closer to one of the displays. Inside was a crystal that glowed with a soft blue light. Where did you find this? She asked. From a dead civilization in the Outer Rim, Taman said, a species that vanished centuries ago. I was part of an exploration mission that discovered their world. His expression did not change, but Deho noticed his hand move unconsciously to his wrist, touching a spot beneath his sleeve. That was where the bond mark would be, Deho realized. The scar from Valira's bite. You were an explorer once, Deho said carefully. Why did you leave that life? Taman's smile tightened slightly. Exploration is for the young. I discovered I had a talent for business, for understanding value. These artifacts are worth nothing sitting on dead worlds. I bring them to those who can appreciate them. And profit from them, Jiwan added. Of course, Taman said without shame. I took risks to obtain these pieces. I deserve to be compensated. Deho wanted to hit him. The casual arrogance, the complete lack of awareness of what he had done. But he kept his expression neutral. I understand you specialize in Velothi artifacts. Those are rare, aren't they? Their civilization was destroyed. For the first time, something flickered in Taman's expression. Uncertainty, perhaps, or fear. Yes, very rare. I only have a few pieces. They are not for sale. Why not? Mirai asked. Taman walked to his desk and sat down, a subtle way of taking control of the conversation. Because they are dangerous. Velothi technology was designed to control and manipulate. Selling such things would be irresponsible. But you keep them, Deho said. For study, Taman replied. His smile was back now, but it looked forced. Now shall we discuss what you are looking for? I have many pieces that might interest clients of your caliber. That was when Deho noticed it. Taman's hand trembled slightly as he reached for a datapad. His skin looked pale, almost gray in certain lights, and there were dark circles under his eyes, barely hidden by makeup. Valira had been right. Something was wrong with him, Mr. Taman, Deho said slowly. Are you feeling well? The businessman's expression hardened. I am fine. Now if you are not serious buyers, I have other appointments. Before Deho could respond, the lights in the office flickered, then went out completely. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in a red glow. Alarms began to sound in the distance. What is happening? Taman demanded, standing up quickly. He reached for his desk communicator. Security report. The communicator crackled with static. Then a voice came through, distorted and full of fear. Sir, there is someone in the building. She is not armed, but our people cannot stop her. She is asking for you by name. Taman went perfectly still. His face lost all color, turning as white as paper. No, he whispered. It is not possible. You know who it is, Deho said quietly. Taman looked at him, and there was pure terror in his eyes now. You brought her here. You brought her to me. She was always coming, Deho said, with or without us. We just made sure she arrived safely. The office door slammed open. Valira stood in the doorway, backlit by the red emergency lights. She looked like something from a nightmare, her pale skin glowing, her red eyes burning with decades of pain and fury. Hello, Taman, she said softly. I have been searching for you. Taman stumbled backward, knocking over his chair. Stay away from me, he said, his voice shaking. I have security. I have weapons. Your security cannot touch me, Valira said. She walked into the room slowly, each step deliberate. I have spent 20 years preparing for this moment. 20 years of pain, of searching, of dreaming about what I would say when I found you. I did what I had to do, Taman said desperately. You do not understand. Your people were monsters. The bond would have controlled me. The bond was a gift, Valira said, and her voice cracked with emotion. I offered you connection, family, love, and you took it and broke it like it meant nothing. Taman's back hit the window. He had nowhere left to run. I'm sorry, he said. I'm sorry for what I did. But you have to understand I was afraid. Afraid of what? Valira demanded. I saved your life. I shared my home with you. I trusted you with my people's history. What was there to fear? Of becoming like the others, Taman shouted. The records say your people used bonds to enslave entire worlds. I felt the bond forming, felt my will becoming tied to yours. I had to break it before I lost myself completely. Valira stopped moving. She stared at him and something like understanding crossed her face. You think I was controlling you? Were you not? Taman asked bitterly. They left Taman's office in silence. The building's security had fled when Valira arrived, and now the hallways were empty except for the emergency lights casting everything in red. Deho led the group to a private conference room on a lower floor, away from windows and watching eyes. Taman sat in a chair, looking small and defeated. His expensive suit was wrinkled now, and his hands would not stop shaking. Valira stood by the door, watching him like a predator watching wounded prey. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. Tell us about Hyunwoo, Deho said, breaking the silence. Taman looked up slowly. His eyes were hollow, like a man who had finally seen the consequences of his choices. Hyunwoo runs the largest criminal network in 3 sectors: smuggling, theft, black market trade. If it is illegal and profitable, he controls it. How did you meet him? Mirai asked. She had her data pad out, taking notes. 7 years ago, Taman said quietly. I was starting my company and needed capital. Banks would not loan to me, so I turned to other sources. Hyunwoo bought several artifacts from me, including the Velity memory crystal. He paid well and asked no questions. Where is he now? Jiwon asked. He operates from a space station called Shadow's Edge. It is in neutral territory outside any government's jurisdiction. He built it himself, and it is a fortress. Security everywhere. Guards who will kill without hesitation. Surveillance systems that can track a single person through miles of corridors. Valira spoke for the first time since they left the office. You have been there. Once, Taman said. To deliver the crystal personally. He wanted to verify its authenticity. Then you know the layout, Deho said. You can get us inside. Taman laughed bitterly. Get you inside? You do not understand. Shadow's Edge is not a place you sneak into, even if we could somehow bypass the security. Hyunwoo himself is dangerous. He has survived assassination attempts from governments and rival criminals. He is not someone you steal from. I do not care about the danger, Valira said coldly. That crystal contains the entire history of my people. Every memory, every story, every piece of our culture. It is all I have left of my family. I will get it back with or without your help. Taman stared at her. You truly cared about that thing? That thing, Valira said, her voice trembling with barely controlled rage, is my family. It holds the recorded memories of 10 generations of Velity, my mother's laugh, my father's wisdom, my sister's songs, everything that made my people more than the monsters the galaxy remembers. Yes, Taman, I truly care about it. For a moment, something like shame crossed Taman's face. He looked down at his hands. I did not know. I thought it was just valuable technology. You did not ask, Valira said. That was always your problem. You took without understanding what you were taking. Deho stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the city of Heijin continued its normal business, unaware of the confrontation happening in this room. He thought about what Valira had said, an entire culture's history in a single crystal, the last memories of a destroyed people. We will get it back, he said, turning to face the room, all of us together. Jiwon looked at him sharply. Boss, this is crazy. We are explorers, not thieves. Breaking into a crime lord's fortress is not what we signed up for. I know, Deho said. But it is the right thing to do. Taman stole that crystal. Hyunwoo bought stolen property. Valira is the rightful owner. We are just going to correct a mistake. A mistake that could get us all killed, Jiwon pointed out. Maybe, Deho agreed. But sometimes doing the right thing is dangerous. That does not make it less right. Mirai spoke up, her voice thoughtful. If we are going to do this, we need a plan. A real plan, not just charging in and hoping for the best. Taman looked at each of them, confusion on his face. Why are you helping her? You owe her nothing. She is Velothi. Her people were tyrants. Her people were, Deho said firmly. She is not. She saved your life, and you repaid her with betrayal. That makes you the bad person in this story, not her. The words hit Taman like a physical blow. He flinched and looked away. Valira watched Deho, and for the first time since they met, she smiled. It was a small, sad smile, but it was real. Thank you, Captain. They spent the next several hours planning. Taman, once he accepted that he had no choice, proved useful. He knew the general layout of Shadow's Edge and could describe the security systems. He also knew that Hyunwoo kept his most valuable pieces in a private vault on the station's upper level. The vault is protected by multiple layers of security, Taman explained, drawing diagrams on a data pad. Biometric scanners, armed guards, and a time lock that only opens during specific hours. Even if we get past all that, the crystal itself is in a containment field that will trigger alarms if disrupted. So it is impossible, Jiwan said flatly. Almost impossible, Taman corrected. But there is one weakness. Hyunwoo is a collector, and collectors have egos. He likes to show off his acquisitions to important visitors. If we can pose as potential buyers interested in Velothi artifacts, he might bring us to the vault. And then what? Mirai asked. We just grab it and run? I can disable the containment field, Valira said. Velothi technology responds to Velothi biosignatures. If I can touch the crystal, I can free it without triggering alarms. Daeho nodded slowly. It could work. We pretend to be buyers. Hyunwoo shows us the crystal. Valira grabs it, and we make our escape before anyone realizes what happened. The escape will be the hard part, Taman said. The moment we take the crystal, every guard on that station will be hunting us. Then we need a good exit strategy, Jiwan said. She pulled up a star chart. If we dock our ships near an external airlock, we can cut straight to them once we have the crystal. Hyunwoo's people will expect us to run for the main hangar. We go the opposite direction. They refined the plan late into the night, working through every detail, every contingency. The more they planned, the more dangerous it seemed. But no one suggested giving up. At one point, Mirai pulled Daeho aside. Are we really doing this? Breaking into a criminal fortress for an alien we barely know? Daeho looked through the doorway at Valira. She sat alone in the corner, staring at nothing, her expression distant. She's been in pain for 20 years. Constant, never-ending pain. And all she wants is the memory of her family back. Yes, we are really doing this, Mirai nodded slowly. Okay, I just wanted to make sure you knew how crazy we are being. I know, Daeho said. But humanity did not get to the stars by being safe and cautious. Sometimes we have to be a little crazy. Near midnight, they finalized the plan. They would travel to Shadow's Edge, posing as wealthy collectors interested in rare artifacts. Taman would use his connections to arrange a meeting with Hyunwoo. Once inside, they would locate the crystal, take it, and escape before security could respond. It was a terrible plan with a dozen ways to fail. But it was the only plan they had. As the meeting broke up, Valira approached Taman. He flinched instinctively, but she did not attack. Instead, she stood before him, studying his face. You are afraid of me, she said. Yes, Taman admitted. Good, Valira said. You should be. What you did to me was unforgivable, but I am not going to kill you, Taman. Do you know why? He shook his head. Because killing you would be easy, Valira said. It would give me satisfaction for a moment, and then I would be alone again, with nothing but revenge to keep me company. No, I want something harder. I want you to help me fix what you broke, and then I want you to live with what you did. To wake up every day and remember that you hurt someone who trusted you, and that it took 20 years for you to try to make it right. Taman's face crumpled. I am sorry, he whispered. I am so sorry. Your apology means nothing, Valira said flatly. Only your actions matter now. Help me get the crystal back. Help me end this pain. Do that, and maybe in time I will believe you are truly sorry. She turned and walked away, leaving Taman standing alone. Daeho watched the exchange and felt a strange mix of emotions. Valira had every right to hate Taman, every right to want revenge. But instead she had chosen something harder. She had chosen to make him face his guilt and earn redemption. It was more mercy than Taman deserved. But it was also proof that Valira was not the monster her species had been. She was something else. Something better. The next morning, they prepared to leave New Busan. Taman arranged for a ship to take them to Shadow's Edge, using his company resources one last time. He looked ill as they boarded, his skin gray, his movements weak. The bond is killing him faster now, Valera said quietly to Daeho. Being near me accelerates the effect. If we do not restore the bond or find another solution soon, he will die. Do you care? Daeho asked. Valera was silent for a moment. I do not know. Part of me wants him to suffer. Part of me remembers the person I thought he was before the betrayal. That person I would have cared about. But that person may have never existed. They left the planet's atmosphere and headed into deep space. Shadow's Edge was 3 days away at maximum speed. 3 days to prepare. 3 days to accept that they might not survive this. As the stars streaked past the ship's windows, Deho sat in the captain's chair and wondered what his crew would say if they knew he was leading them into a heist. They had signed on to explore new worlds and discover alien mysteries, not to fight criminals.